in next week's second round of Democratic debates next week. Yes. And here with his plan to be heard on that crowded stage, please welcome back Beto O'Rourke.
That's great. Good choice.
All right, son.
So, bienvenido.
Gracias.
Bienvenido. That was your campaign song?
That was,
yes.
yeah.
And
you've Baba O'Reilly.
That's right. You've relaunched your campaign since the last time you were here back in May. How are you feeling?
I feel great. We just came off the road in Iowa. We were in Sioux City and Sioux Center and Council Bluffs, just being with people, knocking on doors, having town hall meetings, house parties, talking to people in bars and diners and cafes and out on the street. There's so much great energy out there. We have so many good supporters, and we're building our team, the best possible campaign staff we could have in Iowa, in New Hampshire, in South Carolina, in Nevada, across the country. So I feel extraordinarily fortunate to be part of this amazing movement.
Well, Congressman, not too long ago, you were a huge rising star. You were on the cover of Vanity Fair. We talked about it on the show. You have a lot of Obama bros working for you, all the Wonder Kids that used to work for Obama. You're polling at 0%. You're trailing Marianne Williamson in the important state of New Hampshire. Your fundraising numbers have gone down by 1/3. This isn't great for momentum. Why do you think it's cooled?
You know what? That's not what I feel when I'm on the ground in
But facts
Manchester
are stubborn things.
and Nashua. But I think you know that at this time in many presidential races, you had folks who were down in the polls, counted out, left for dead, who through their persistence and their courage and their tenacity and the amazing people who comprise their campaign rose to help lead their party and ultimately the country. And so I think
Obama.
And like Senator John McCain, who is one of my...
His campaign full-on imploded, yes.
One of my heroes. And I'll tell you what, I think the American people want a president who can move through the tough times. You're going to have highs, you're going to have lows, but to be consistent in what you're focused on, which is delivering for this great country, going everywhere, not writing anybody off, including everyone in the solution. That's what we're all about. And I got to tell you, I feel great when I'm with people, listening to people, and being with our supporters and our volunteers. Yeah.
Democrats seem to be unified in their outrage over Trump telling the 4 freshman congresswomen of color to go back to the countries they came from, which led to a crowd chanting, "Send her back, send her back," when he was attacking Congresswoman Ilhan Omar at a rally last week. Will this be a campaign theme for him in 2020, you think?
I think it's not just Democrats who are outraged. It's Americans, especially Americans of good conscience, because this is not an anomaly. A president who described Mexican immigrants as rapists and criminals, who said that the Klan were very fine people, who sought to ban all Muslims, all people of one religion from this country, called the press the enemy of the people. This is the road to fascism and tyranny, and 243 years into this experiment that we could choose our leaders and the direction of this country, it has never been so imperiled or undermined as it is now. This is our defining moment of truth, and I call upon Republicans and independents and Democrats alike to stand up and to be counted for this country, not against Donald Trump necessarily, but for the best traditions of this country and for a better future of this country. And we're going to reject that racism and that bigotry and that smallness and be defined by our ambition.
On your side, obviously. But
I saw something this morning that said that his approval ratings went up since he's been attacking these women verbally. So I don't know. The speech you just gave might be just blowing in the wind. I hate to say it.
Yeah.
Not to mention that the strategy on the right is to totally paint the Democrats, as we hear or talk about every day, as a bunch of socialists, big spending socialists who are not patriotic. I mean, how are you going to go up against this machine that he has going of lies and mendacity?
We're going to talk about him and his enablers who are in Congress right now as the extremists who cut a $2 trillion tax cut when we were already $21 trillion in debt to the wealthiest,
right,
to corporations who are already sitting on record piles of cash.
By the way, today I just read that he wants to cut food stamps for what, 3 million Americans? Yes.
Yes.
Look it up.
He wants to cut the Meals on Wheels program that is the sole source of calories for countless Americans. We met a woman in Wichita Falls. She said, not only is Meals on Wheels keeping me alive, but the person who delivers it is the single human being I will see over the course of the day.
Yes.
When he touches my shoulder before he leaves the door, it's a single human contact I will have. We've got to stand up for her. We've got to stand up for people who are counting on us right now, and we've got to stand up against that kind of extremism, whether it's the racism.
You're talking about Trump supporters, comparing them to Nazis in Nuremberg. That sounds extreme to me as well. So when Democrats come on here and wax poetic about extremism, I'm not saying Trump isn't doing it, but you're calling everybody that was in that North Carolina rally a Nazi. So you have to understand, from my standpoint, it seems like the left is pretty extreme in that end as well.
No, I'm not calling everyone who was in that rally.
You compared his rally to Nuremberg and his reporters to Nazis.
Asking for women of color to go back to their own country and then connect it with everything else that he's doing, the press as the enemy of the people, that there is only one path that will take us down.
What about his supporters, the people in that room at that rally?
We all have accountability for our actions, and everyone who shouted to send them back is responsible for that as well.
And you're going to have to win over some of these people that voted for Obama and then voted for Trump again. And for me, I did not support it. We spent a whole week decrying that. And you have to understand how it looks for people in the middle, thinking that maybe I don't agree with everything the left is saying, so automatically you're Nazis.
We're on the same page, Megan. I went to every one of the 254 counties of Texas. King County voted for Donald Trump 96% in the last election. But I went there because they're every bit as deserving of our respect, of our attention, of being heard, of being fought for, and being served. And by going there and showing up with the courage of my convictions, but also a willingness to listen and to learn, we brought them into the conversation. And at the end of the day, not only did we win more votes than any Democrat in Texas history, we won independence for the first time in decades. 500,000 Republicans voted for a Republican for governor and voted for us for Senate. When we don't write people off and bring everyone in, I say no me importa. I don't care who you voted for last time. I don't care if you're a Trump supporter or a Republican. You're an American first before you are anything else, and I call you to this country's greatness. Let's get out there and achieve it.
Okay. We'll be right back with more with Beto O'Rourke and his wife, Amy O'Rourke.
Okay.
Democratic presidential candidate Beto O'Rourke was joined by his wife, Amy, for their first national interview together. Go, George.
So, Amy, lovely to have you. You have 3 children. I have to read this because I can't remember this. 8 years old, 11 years old, and 12.
Yes.
So I could assume that, Beto's running must have been a big decision for you. I mean, he's going to be away a lot, and, and you're home with the kids. And in fact, I heard you started to cry when you heard he was running. Is that true?
No. I didn't cry. I did cry in about 2009 or 2010 when I was pregnant with Henry, and Beto said, I think I want to run for Congress.
Oh, for Congress.
Out of the blue. I did cry then. But took some time to think about it. He decided to run in the next cycle. And I think for me, the fear was that he would go to D.C. and he would change and he would become this different person that I didn't know. And then he was elected. He served 6 years in the House, and he was the same. He was a great husband, an incredible father. And so in 2016, when President Trump was elected, it was a very easy decision to come to say we needed to do something, and we were going to run for the U.S.
But I heard that you read Michelle Obama's book,
I did.
Becoming, in preparation, and were you at all taken with the fact that it was difficult, the campaigning process?
Oh, when I read the book, the first half was amazing. I loved hearing about her early years. And then as soon as it turned to the campaign, my stomach turned because she was a working mother. She was on the road 2 or 3 days a week, and she is so strong, brilliant, And she made it look so easy, but in the book you could tell that it was a real struggle. And so, yeah, it was, you know,
Tough.
it was
not
tough.
easy.
Yeah.
I remember you putting the book down one night when we were in bed together and looking over at me and saying, "What in the hell are we about to do?" And yet you helped to make the decision to do this because you know that the future of this country is at stake. But she's an amazing person.
Well, Amy, the last time your husband was here, we asked him about some things that he had said about your family. He said that he, quote, sometimes helps raise your kids. It didn't go over well with a lot of working moms. He mentioned you weren't thrilled with those comments yourself. Sonny and I said it's lucky that he's not married to either of us.
Yeah.
What was that conversation like for you?
You know, so it wasn't that I was upset with him because anytime he had said something like that, what I think, it probably just didn't come across the right way, but I think what he was really just trying to illustrate was that it is tough for me to be at home, and I think he was trying to acknowledge that in his own way. And if I didn't feel his appreciation and his love and his support, then I probably would have been upset by a comment like that. But I think one of the things that I have always loved about Beto is that I was such a shy person growing up, and he, from the very moment I met him, had just such a strong belief in what I could do, and has filled me with so much confidence that I never had before. Wow. And so comments like that just are not reflective of our
Are you on the trail together a lot right now?
So our kids are at camp.
Oh, yeah.
So we get
Summer camp.
10 days together.
That's nice.
Which is very rare.
I know. I've had it too. My kids are away. It's like a honeymoon again.
So yeah, we'll get some time on the road, and then we'll get to be at home this weekend together.
Wow. Well, Amy, ¿hablas español también?
Sí, hablo español.
Sí. ¿Y sus niños?
Sí, mejor que nosotros.
And Beto, you and Amy recently revealed that you are both descended from slave owners. After you found out, apparently you had a really long talk about it. What did you say?
You know, I've been listening to people about our national story and the foundational racism that defines not just early America, but where we are today, where there's 10 times the wealth in white America than black America, 2.3 million behind bars, disproportionately comprised of color, disparities in education and outcome, a maternal mortality crisis that is 3 times as deadly for women of color, but learning that our ancestors had owned other people and had helped to create a system that some people in this country have benefited from.
Was that quite a shock?
White America.
Many people.
And others have been held down by. And that persists today. Yeah, it made it very personal for us. But if anything, it renewed the urgency that we feel around making sure that there is repair in this country and that we do not visit this same kind of injustice on future generations.
So then how do you feel about reparations?
We need to move forward on repair. Sheila Jackson Lee, extraordinary member of Congress from Houston, Texas, has authored a reparations bill that would convene a national conversation, telling stories like ours, telling stories like those of the people here in the room today, to make sure that we know the full national story. How did we get to this place? It is not by accident. It is by design. Only when you've had that story can you as a country decide on the next steps and actions that we should take. So,
And it's
yes.
not just slavery, it's Jim Crow, it's a lot of things.
Segregation, suppression, convict leasing.
Redlining,
Yep.
one of the worst
Conversation that
things.
needs to be had. That's why I always ask the question, everybody.
Maybe they need to pay attention to the books that they're teaching kids with. Maybe that's a place that
That's right.
you know.
That's why I asked the question.
I'm just saying. You know.
Right.
So, very, very quickly, I wanted to do a speed round, but favorite date night?
You have time? You don't know?
Do we have a favorite date night?
You can't.
First date, Kentucky
No.
Club in Sila
God,
Paz.
bless you. You done?
That's it, yeah.
All right. Thanks to Beto O'Rourke and Amy O'Rourke. Not my fault. We'll be right back.
Thank you all.